As small business owners, we have a lot of to-dos on our plate. And if you're like me, you've ended your workday with way more to-dos than when you actually started at least a dozen times. In today's episode, I'm sharing how I prioritize my daily to-dos using batch days so I actually get things done working in my business and working on my business. So first things first, realize that projects and tasks are different. It might sound silly, but let's think about that for a second. Projects typically have multiple tasks underneath them, whereas a task is a one and done kind of thing you should hopefully be able to easily cross off the to-do list. An example of a project, launch a YouTube channel. An example of a task, outline a video for a YouTube channel. It's important to acknowledge that projects and tasks are different so that you realize that projects have multiple tasks underneath them and typically take a lot more time than one task. If your to-do list for the day is filled up with solely projects, you're always going to end the workday with several left on your plate. If your to-do list is task-oriented, you can actually start to cross them off during your day so that you're moving the needle on your business. Once you look at tasks versus projects, that's where batch days come into play. I personally batch to-dos through themed days of the week, and I get a little bit nerdy about it because I really, really love organizing my to-dos in this way. See that color-coded calendar back there? I love it, y'all. Okay, so batching my to-dos with theme days help me stay in the right mindset and know what to expect and when to expect it. I find I truly get in the groove with that specific themed day and am even more productive with the to-dos on my plate. Here's a super quick example of how I personally batch days, and then I want to give you some tips for how you can batch days in your own business. So an example for me with my themed batch days, Mondays, prep day. They're prep day all morning long. I'm working on admin tasks and really gearing up for the week ahead. And then Monday afternoons are project heavy. I like to focus on a project the very first day of the week because it helps me feel like my week accomplished something working on my business and really growing my business and pushing me forward. So Mondays are a mixture of prep days in the morning and then project heavy in the afternoon. Tuesdays, they're content planning days. For me, a lot of my tasks are content driven, so I have an entire themed day for content. Wednesdays, appointments. All of the appointments I can possibly have, I try to have on Wednesdays. However, I know that, like a lot of you, sometimes I have more appointments than just one day can allot for. So Thursdays are also appointment driven. Thursdays are a mixture of appointments and projects, and I try to batch that time even under that themed day. So an example would be Wednesdays are appointments, Thursday mornings are also appointments, but then Thursday afternoons are projects. Or Wednesdays are appointments, Thursday mornings are projects, and Thursday afternoons are back to appointments. I try to make sure that my time is batched even on that themed day so that I'm more productive in that time frame. And then Fridays are my catch-up day. I'm trying to get any other to-do that's still outstanding in the week done, and also just focus back on some admin tasks and some email management and other things that I needed to get accomplished in the week. So that's an example of how my Monday through Friday looks. How can it look for you in your business? So first things first, pull up a Google Doc and just start brain dumping all of the to-dos on your plate. Don't think through projects versus tasks right now. Just write them all down. Get them out of your brain, fill up that mental space, and get them on paper. After you've written out all of those to-dos in a Google Doc, now I want you to start organizing those to-dos. This is when you'll start to see themes come into play. So for you in your business, you might start to see client-facing to-do, marketing to-dos, back-end business to-dos, appointment-driven to-dos. You'll start to see themes come up based on all of the to-dos on your plate. So write it all down and then organize it. For me, after I write it all in a Google Doc, I organize it in Trello. I like to have a My Week Trello board and organize Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of those days in a list on my Week Trello. You don't have to use Trello for this, but that's just what I have found to be the most helpful for me. I use Trello to organize those to-dos so that I make sure that I'm staying on track with each of the themes. You don't have to use Trello, but I have found it to be an incredibly helpful and free tool to make sure that I'm staying organized with each of my themes. Probably the most important, truly the most important thing about having batch days, y'all, is sticking to them. A lot of you are like me and you're a service-based creative business owner. That means that it's really easy for us to be guilt-tripped and want to please everybody and make our schedule work with everybody else's. But if you're constantly doing that week after week, you're never going to move the needle in your business. What you need to do is prioritize those batch days so that 9 times out of 10, you are sticking with them. Yes, there are definitely going to be exceptions to every rule, but for example, 9 times out of 10, Wednesdays and maybe Thursdays are my appointment-driven days. I will not take appointments on Mondays, Tuesdays, or Fridays because I know that if I do, it throws off my productivity for the entire day and I'm not able to batch content or batch to-dos as well as I would have. It's really important for you to be strict with your time so that you're prioritizing working on your business and working in your business. Content writing is just as important as a client meeting, y'all. So having batch days for each will allow your brain to not only focus and prioritize, but also allow you as a whole to prioritize working on your business and working in your business. Last tip I have when it comes to batch planning and just prioritizing your to-dos, sometimes it helps to use a good old pen and a sticky note. At the beginning of every workday, regardless of what the theme is, I write down my top tasks. Remember the difference between a project and a task, okay? So I look at what are my top 3, no more than 3 tasks for the day, and I write them on a sticky note, hot pink, and I stick it on my desktop. This allows me to feel instant gratification when I can truly cross it off as I get it done, and allows me to mentally focus on these are my top 3 tasks, not projects, for this themed day. I hope this was helpful in allowing you to see that batching days will really help you move the needle on your business and be your most productive self. If you'd like even more free resources specific to your season of business, make sure you take our What's Your Creative Personality quiz linked below to get access to all of those. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode, and I'll be back next week with a new one.